Welcome to Uxbridge Scugog Life. I'm your host, Jackie Hermans. So, it is the season for camping, for campfires, for pool parties, for boating, and for potential storms and power outages. So today on the show, we're going to be talking to Fire Chief Mark Burney about all that. So make sure that you keep on watching. And if you want to be on the show, you can send us an email, uxbridgescugoglife@rci.rogers.com. And if you want to volunteer for Rogers, please visit our website, and you can definitely get connected with the amazing volunteer opportunities that are available to you. We'll be back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Think it's okay to drive high? Think again. Drug-impaired driving is as illegal as drunk driving, and in Ontario, the penalties are the same. If police suspect you're driving under the influence of drugs of any kind, or a combination of drugs and alcohol, and you fail a roadside test, your license will be suspended immediately for up to 30 days. You'll pay a penalty of $198, and you can be charged with a criminal offense of impaired driving, the same as alcohol. Driving high is never okay.
I'm Eric Marchinosa's Cinema Scene in Review. Join me for a monthly movie roundup of new releases either in theaters or available to stream. See you next time in Review.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. With me on the show is Mark Burney, who is the Scugog Fire Chief. We're talking about a whole lot in this show.
We are.
Okay, so let's start with emergency preparedness.
Yes.
So we've had tornadoes,
Yes.
hurricanes,
Yes.
just power outages.
Yes.
So what should we put together to make sure that we're going to be prepared?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there. There's so many risks, weather or otherwise man-made, that we need to prepare for. We need to prepare for them not only at work, but at home or while we're traveling, perhaps when we're on vacation. And knowing those risks in those areas, if I can call them that, are very, very important to us. It allows us to plan.
Right.
Plan for the emergency.
Right.
And stay safe.
So to plan ahead, how, on average, if we're going to be putting a kit together, how many days should we be prepared for?
Your kit should keep you sustained for 3 days.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So what kind of things should we be having?
Oh,
in our
where do you
kit?
want to start? Do you want to start about your vitamins, your personal meds, your basic needs?
Okay, I never even thought about vitamins.
Yeah.
I just thought I would like do without but what if some things are really like meds?
Yeah.
People need
100%, non-perishable food, water, the ability to stay connected. So you have your cell phone that, the battery will expire in 8 hours, 24 hours. How are you going to recharge that phone?
Right.
There's a lovely little contraption out there right now. It's a crank, radio, cell phone charger, and flashlight all in one. And, having something like that gives you the light, gives you the connectivity to, to radio, or, cell phone, so that you can go online to scugog.ca to see what's going on with the storm outage, and stay connected is really, really important.
I got one of those crank radio flashlight things for my son.
Yeah, they're awesome.
For his birthday. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lee Valley Tools, are we allowed to say that? Anyways, they have a lot of really neat gadgets out there to keep yourself safe.
And then, along with, taking care of your person, what about your family? your loved ones, your neighbors, your elderly neighbors. You know, being a good neighbor and a responsible family person that says, hey, are you prepared? You know, and if you're not, helping them get prepared is really, really important.
What about big jugs of water?
Well, water is life, isn't it?
Yeah.
And without it, you'll get thirsty quickly. So yes, your non-perishable foods and water supply as a part of your 72-hour kit is really important.
Okay. Now, someone like me, I have electric heat.
Sure.
And so if there's a major storm, there's a good chance we're going to lose power on that.
Yep.
So for someone like me, I might even want to consider it like a generator, having a small generator on hand.
Small generator.
Yeah.
Clothes appropriate for the season, blankets, stuff like that. You know, especially if you're traveling. You know, if you need to be prepared. And you know, if it's at home with a generator that can perhaps keep your hydro going, or sorry, keep your heat going, then yes. But that being said, you know, there's a safety factor to generators as well, right? Generators, fuel power generators, put off CO. It's not something you can run in your house. You have to run it outside, an extension cord to whatever appliance it is that you're gonna operate.
Okay. All right. So we're going to put our kits together if they're not already together, or maybe just reestablish those kits, because we also should be looking at expiry dates of things. 100%. We can't just put it together and just forget about it, right?
100%, yes.
Okay. Now, along with being prepared throughout the summer, there's different things that we should consider.
Yes.
So,
lots.
For example, getting a fire permit, right? Some of us like to have a little bonfire, you know, in the backyard during the summer. So it's time to get those permits.
Yes, yes. And you can do that by going to scugog.ca for permits in the township of Scugog. In our product online at scugog.ca will tell you whether you're eligible or not because of the size of your property.
Okay. Is it 30 feet from your house? Is that the standard, or is it?
That's one of the stipulations that we like. In general, when it comes to having a fire, because you've been permitted, you have a permit, you want to have those fires away from anything that's combustible. Overhead trees, your house, your shed, perhaps your cedar hedge line, things that, should sparks come off that fire and then land, they aren't going to land on something that's combustible.
Now, you probably love this question. What about if you have a chimenea or a small little bowl fireplace where you'd like to roast marshmallows with the kids or hot dogs? Do you have to have a permit for that if you're doing food?
Yes, yes.
Really?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
In our urbanized environment, we don't need that type of opportunity to cook our food. We have the convenience of our kitchen and what have you. So inherently what you are doing is you're having a campfire or a recreational type fire. That requires a permit.
Okay.
Sorry.
I thought the food was like the loophole. That's what I've been told, so I was mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where you don't need a permit is if you're using a fuel-fired fire pit. So as an example, a propane fire pit that doesn't use combustible materials to burn.
Okay. Such as a barbecue.
Such as a barbecue.
Right. Stick to that.
Yes.
Little. Okay, so we have more that we're going to talk about. It's also the season of camping, so we're going to talk about camping. We're also going to talk about those campfires that are not necessarily at home. When to have a campfire, when not to have a campfire, because sometimes we have these fire bans. So just to make sure everyone knows the rules.
Sure.
Okay.
So
we'll be back.
Okay, awesome.
Hold that note. We'll be back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
To the rafters in the Edmonton Arena. Everyone is feeling the pressure on the Grabs as they await the American champs. Here's the Cleveland favorite Knits now, and boy, do they look impressive.
Look at their uniforms. I bet you could sure run in smart shirts like those.
Not that. Look, world champs, my eye. Grads, we don't play for glory. We play the game for the game's sake. So tonight, you're going to earn that title by playing your game. Teamwork, passing. Let's show them what it means to play the Grads.
Were champions for 25 years. The record of 502 wins and only 20 losses is unmatched in all of sport.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So we're with the Scugog Fire Chief, and we've been talking about, well, first we were talking about emergency preparedness, but let's go into camping now. It is the season.
It is the season
for camping. So there's a whole bunch of places that we could go with camping safety. Let's start with campfires.
Sure. So, campfires, when we are out camping, sometimes we use them for, the recreation person and enjoying each other and the life around a campfire when we are camping. Sometimes we use it for cooking. Regardless of what we're using it for, we have to think of, where we're burning, what we're burning, and then what's the after effects of the burning. As an example, we're done our fire, it's time to bed down for the night. We need to put that fire out completely. We always have a pail of water by our campfire at the cottage. Why wouldn't anybody else do the same, regardless of where you are, so that you can fully extinguish that fire by saturating it with water. And again, thinking of, where it is that you're burning. The things that are above you, the trees, the things that are around you, that perhaps if a spark was to, again, come off the fire and land and potentially catch something that's combustible, including your tent or your camper.
Okay, so in regards, let's talk about fire bans.
Sure.
So sometimes there's fire bans and it's different in each municipality.
It is.
So I know some municipalities, or as you go north, you'll see the
scale,
scale from green to red.
Yes.
But I understand in Scugog, we don't have that scale. It's either you can burn or you can't.
Correct. That is correct. And that's a great point, because it's very important that when you leave home base, Scugog, where it is, yes, we're either burning or we're not burning, and you go to the Kawarthas, somewhere in the Kawarthas or the Muskokas or wherever, that you understand how they regulate burning. You're right, because it can be green, burn at any times, to perhaps only burning after 6 p.m. or evening burning, to no burning. And it also identifies the risks, when it comes to burning.
Okay, so can you, even though Scugog is burn or don't burn, can you go over that scale so we're all aware for wherever we might be traveling?
Yeah, sure. So fundamentally, the scale uses the risk when it comes to fire. So as an example, is the vegetation moist? Is it healthy? Is it green? You're probably in the green scale. And as you go across the scale to yellow, orange, and red, the conditions in the wilderness is starting to change. Perhaps it's drying out. Perhaps it hasn't rained for a month. So the risks to fire and wildland fire and the movement of fire is beginning to change to the point that there's a high level of risk, and they shut it down at the red scale.
Okay, so is there a certain particular color that is, you can only do it after, let's say, 6 o'clock?
No, that's usually unique to the municipalities.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so if people want to know whether they can do a fire in Scugog, do they go to your website?
Scugog.ca.
Okay.
Well, if we have a ban on, it'll be very, very clear. Scugog.ca, fire ban in place.
Okay. Do you also post it at the arena or any of the community centers?
Oh, great question. We use signage. We post it around the community.
Okay.
Wherever there's community signs like Epsom or Port Perry or Caesarea. And then we communicate with our permit holders. So we'll email them all. And for those who don't have email, we'll telephone them and say, hey, we're in a burn ban, don't burn.
Okay. So how about for those individuals who have campers or pop-up trailers or things like that, how can we make sure we are being safe?
Oh, that's a great question. So first of all, when it comes to the couple trailer parks that we have in Scugog, we do a cooperative with those park owners. We talk about fire safety. We inspect the parks, and we look at the different campfire locations in association with their trailers, and reaffirm that they have good safety practices in place. From there, we also collaborate with them when it comes to the safety of the occupants within the trailers. The trailers are likely the occupant's trailer. It's not the park's trailer. But the safety in the trailer is no different than your safety at home. Smoke alarms, CO alarms, good cooking practices, they're all as important in your camping facility or your trailer as they are at home.
Okay, so we need to be checking our...
We do.
Our
smoke
alarms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You're firing up that camper for the first time this year. Check your smoke alarms, check your CO alarms, make sure they're within that 10-year parameter, make sure their batteries are good, and enjoy your camping.
Okay, so anything else in regards to camping? With our fires, we're going to make sure we have our buckets. With our with the inside, we're going to make sure we have our smoke alarms. Can you think of any other preparedness, let's say, in regards to camping?
Well, something, whether you're at home or you're out camping, as we talked about when it comes to emergency preparedness, know the environment, know what their risks are in that environment.
Okay.
Here in North Durham, across from Barrie, we're in a bit of a storm alley, so to speak, right? So if you're coming up here to Scugog to camp, you should be aware of that. And inherently build your plan when you're camping accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Storm Alley, didn't even realize that.
Yeah, that's something we just learned.
Okay, and we love it here.
We do.
So it's worth it. Okay, so what we're going to do in the next segment is we're going to be talking about boating and water safety.
Awesome.
So, and even as we're filming this, the rivers and streams are pretty intense with all of the melt off.
They are.
Now, people might be watching this in July or August, but there's lots that we can talk there. So we'll be back. Okay, we'll be back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
Everybody knows not to drink and drive, but some people still think it's okay to take drugs and drive. Police have the authority, the ability, and the tools to determine if drivers are impaired by legal or illegal drugs. And because drug-impaired drivers can pose just as great a risk as drunk drivers, they face the same penalties, like the loss of their driver's license, a criminal record, fines, and more. A message from the RCMP, the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
My daughter is 7 years old and has a frenemy. They have play dates that always end up in a fight or tears. This friend bosses her around and treats her poorly, but she still wants to be her friend. What's a parent to do?
I would let them acquiesce to a certain amount, and then, when they're at this age, you still need to be supervising their play dates. So I might step in, not to correct the bossy child, but it's my child that I'm concerned about. I would just expose her to other people, teach her to have a voice, and let her know that she's got options.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So we have Mark Birdie, the Scugog Fire Chief, and we've been talking about fire safety. We've been talking about safety when you're camping. We emergency preparedness. We are going into backyard barbecues and pools / whatever type of water we could be around. It's a little broad, a little broad at the top, but let's start with barbecues.
Sure.
Okay.
Barbecues are fun, aren't they?
Yes, they are, and it is like the best season for cooking.
It is.
Right?
It is.
Have you ever run into someone using charcoal in their propane barbecue?
Sadly, I have.
Okay.
And it didn't turn out very well for them. Gas barbecues are designed, not only the pot, but also the lava rock to work with either natural gas or propane.
Okay.
Charcoal barbecues are designed to contain the charcoal as it burns down and burns off. So when you mix charcoal into a gas barbecue, that charcoal eventually burns down through and goes out the breathing holes, I'll call them, ports, in the bottom of a gas barbecue. And guess what's waiting for it? The gas line to the natural gas from your home, or the propane. Yeah, so you have to separate charcoal from gas-fired barbecues and use them respectfully.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are some things you should make sure when you are barbecuing to keep things safe?
Something, I look at a barbecue much like I do the oven. If the oven is dirty and greasy and all that, remnants of the fun you've had with it, there's a risk to it. The same risk is with your barbecue. Okay. If you need to keep your barbecue clean, you need to attend your barbecue when you're barbecuing, because some of the things we cook give off a lot of grease. They can cause a flame up on your barbecue, and if your barbecue is situated such that it's close to combustibles, your home, your shed, whatever, then there's the potential, if you're not attending your barbecue, that it's going to flame up and potentially catch these combustibles on fire.
Okay, and what about if you barbecue on a deck? Shouldn't you have one of those fireproof mats or something below it?
I mean, that's a great idea. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, I would suggest your biggest issue when it comes to barbecue safety is attend your barbecue when you're barbecuing and keep your barbecue in a clean, ready state. And if you do, you'll enjoy barbecuing all summer long, and perhaps all year long.
Yay! Yeah. And we should be clearing out those grease troughs and everything.
Exactly.
Not just scraping it, it's getting all the stuff.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into water safety.
Sure.
So, we have backyard pools, we have lakes.
Yes.
What are some points you really want to hit home?
Well, first and foremost is, not everybody is a swimmer. And whether we're enjoying the lake or we're enjoying the backyard pool, we have to give attention to those people that aren't swimmers. Okay, and that could be toddlers all the way through to adults. And whether we are eyeful of them, or we provide them with PFD so that they can enjoy the same water that we're enjoying, because we can swim and we know how to take care of ourselves in water. We have to be very conscious of that. And then, of course, alcohol and drugs don't mix with water. And unfortunately, with when there has been occurrences, a lot of times there's been that association. That's both pool and lake. You can go both ways. Pool. Deep ends, shallow ends, diving, not diving, just walking into a pool. The lakes or the bigger bodies of water, they have currents, they have dam structures. Those are all potentials for, mishaps. And people need to be aware of, the conditions they're swimming in, whether it be a pool that has a shallow end, deep end, or a lake that has, as I said, currents and what have you.
Okay. So, and making sure that you have the tools to be able to assist someone if they do get into trouble, right? Because you don't want to put yourself in harm's way by helping someone and then they end up pulling you under. So
exactly.
Having a ring with a rope, using a noodle, throwing a flutter board, just having those tools available.
Those are great ideas, great ideas. I personally have a ring hanging on the fence opposite my pool, just for exactly what you're suggesting.
Okay.
And if I have to, I can throw that ring before I jump in.
Yeah, and for pool parties, there's a lot of lifeguards out there that you could potentially hire to watch everyone in the pool, because like if you're wanting to have a good time and know that you might get distracted, and why not have someone who is trained that will have their eyes on the pool?
Somebody has to be always observing what's going on in the pool.
Yeah.
Just like a lifeguard does.
Yeah. So you can even go to the local pool and just say, hey, any suggestions? Because I'm looking for someone for my pool party.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Okay, so also with boat safety, just making sure you have the right number of life jackets for your boat.
100%. Boat safety, I look at boat safety like I do, the camping safety we were talking about earlier, or home safety. There's things we need, isn't there? You know, especially if you can reside on your boat, you know, you need to look at it from a, you know, do I have my smoke alarms? Do I have my CO alarms? Do I have my fire extinguisher? Or if I'm out enjoying the boat on the water, yes. Do I have the adequate number of PFDs for everybody on the boat?
Yep.
Do I have the basic emergency kit? That includes a bailer and some type of signaling device.
Whistle and a rope. And,
yes, exactly. Because those are all things that are going to help you should things fail and you get yourself into a jam.
Right. Okay. And make sure you get your boating license.
Boating license are good.
All right. Thank you so much. So we will be back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
I'm Judith Tate, host and producer of At the Heart of Business. Join me each week as we get to know women in business and learn all about their challenges and successes. That's At the Heart of Business right here on Rogers TV.
Hi, I'm Daryl.
And I'm Julie.
We're the hosts of the Mindvine Mental Health Show presented by Ontario Shores Centre for Mental Health Sciences.
Each episode, we get the conversation going by talking with experts and people impacted by mental illness.
Join the conversation with Mindvine.
Only on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So that is a wrap with all of that amazing information we got from Mark Burney, Fire Chief of Scugog. You are going to stay safe, right? So get your emergency preparedness kits together. If you're going to have a pool party, make sure that you always have a set of eyes on those swimmers. Keep an eye on by lakes and rivers and get your permits, because you don't want to be doing any burning unless you have your permits. And make sure it is an absolute no-no to put charcoal in your propane or gas fireplace. Remember that. All right, we'll be back next week with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
My mother said we had to leave home. The communists were going to take my father away. If my parents were afraid, they didn't show us. But we would never forget our escape from Vietnam. We were lost.
What was your job in Vietnam? University professor.
We had no home.
Do you have any family in Canada?
No, sir. Nobody wanted us.
Welcome to Canada.